What's going on, everyone? You're here at Stock Picks by Tim, and in this video I want to talk about Sphere 3D or ANY stock. Now, I haven't talked about this one in a while. We've got a few things to talk about. I actually didn't even realize their earnings came out just a few days ago. We're going to go over some things there. We're going to look at the chart. We do have a downtrend reversal, but it's been kind of just trading sideways ever since that downtrend reversal. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you something negative that you definitely have to keep on your radar, and we're going to go over their Bitcoin production. So if you like these videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Definitely helps me out there in YouTube. And let's look at Sphere 3D. Now, first off, looking at the chart, we do have what I would call a downtrend reversal. We had these points that was a resistance. We finally broke out of it. Now, since then, it's been trading sideways. And if you look at this is the most sideways action we've had this whole time since since October 2021, excuse me. Now, you could say that this point here that I have a line under ended up as sideways action over time here. However, it had a lot of volatility. Now, right here, we have a lot of sideways action. It seems like it's not doing a whole lot. Now, I personally am not going to add to this one, and I'm going to go over why. But if you did want to play this downtrend reversal, if you did want to just ride any potential momentum it may get, you could probably set a stop loss right around 80 cents and just ride the momentum upwards. If it breaks, oh well. But it seems like we are getting a little bit of volume picking up after earnings came out. Seems like, this negative catalyst is finally behind us. I think people were expecting earnings to be bad. Now that it's passed, we're having a little bit of a hype rally. Kind of like the same thing with CleanSpark, a little bit of pessimism, and then suddenly earnings comes out and you get that next day or 2 days later, just get those green bars. Will it continue with Sphere 3D? I don't know. I personally don't expect it. I'm going to go over why. Although sometimes the market doesn't have to make any sense. So it doesn't have to follow what I'm going to show you. First off, before we get into earnings, they did receive a notice from the NASDAQ. And this was on July 29. And this is the fact that they're under $1 a share. So they do risk delisting, and the company basically has 180 days to gain compliance to stay over $1, and they have to stay over $1 for 10 consecutive days, and they essentially have until January 2023. Now, as I've told you guys in previous videos, I am going to sell my Sphere 3D by the end of this year at some point. Haven't sold it yet. I am still holding. Now, at the time, I just figured the market was definitely working against Sphere 3D, and I think by the end of this year, the market might be a little more forgiving. We might see Sphere 3D regain a little bit of its percentage, but I'm not very optimistic that I'm actually going to end up with a gain on this one. Now, before I get into these numbers on earnings, how do you feel about Sphere 3D? Do you think they're going to gain compliance? Do you think they're going to get back over $1 and stay on the NASDAQ? Now, if they get delisted from the NASDAQ, you definitely don't want that. Alright, now let's look over a couple of things. First off, we've got a quote here from the new CEO. We continue to increase our Bitcoin holdings, and with our conservative approach to maintaining our balance sheet, I believe we are positioned to grow. Now, one thing about this statement is they literally have like $10 million in cash. I believe they have no debt. And as for their Bitcoin holdings, they have like 50 Bitcoin. So they have like $1 million in Bitcoin. So they have literally $11 million to support their growth. I don't think that's going to be enough, especially when they burn like $30 million a quarter. So we do have some positives. In terms of revenue, they got 1.9 million during the quarter. Their digital mining revenue was 1.2 million from production of 37 Bitcoin. And that's compared with 0.9 million, under 1 million in the prior year. In the quarter 1 year ago, same quarter. Their total holdings is 55 Bitcoin at quarter close, and they continue to say that they're going to continue to hold it, but they are eventually going to have to sell. They are going to have to sell because they're running out of cash. Their operating costs and expenses was around 17 million. They had to incur a loss of 13 million because of the Griffin Digital merger contract that was terminated. They had an impairment of 12.4 million because of their losses on Filecoin, and in total they reported a loss of 40 million or negative 62 cents a share, compared to a loss of 3 million for the second quarter of 2021. So while yes, their revenue did increase almost double compared to where it was a year ago, their loss more than 10 times. Okay, so that's something you got to look at. While yes, their revenue increased, their losses increased 10 times. And moving on, the company has been actively exploring options for financing the balance of miners because they're having issues with getting their miners. Now, as always, I'll leave you guys all the links below to everything I look over, but going over their mining update because it gives a little more clarity, a little more detail on that side of things. I'll zoom this in for you, but you'll see that, their monthly production is just slowly increasing. They haven't really received much more machines. Now, they do have S19J Pros coming, 4,000 of them, in fact, and that's supposed to be beginning in August. But looking at this, we did have some issues here because US Customs held the shipments because they wanted receipt of the documentation. Now it seems like they are moving forwards with that. They did release 540 of the miners of the 2000, and the rest of the shipments may be freed soon, according to Sphere 3D. But apparently other companies are dealing with these issues as well, with similarly frustrating US customs clearance issues. So this isn't just Sphere 3D that is dealing with this, according to them. Now also, they do mention with BitFuFu, $106 million worth of miners. Now they are revisiting this agreement, and they do say that upcoming payments on the contract are not expected to be made. Why is that? Because Sphere 3D doesn't have any money. Now they go on to say, we have explored multiple financing options in recent months and have determined to maintain our current balance sheet given market conditions. The company currently operates unencumbered by long-term debt. That's true, and intends to continue its conservative approach to capital expenditure in the near term. Now, they do intend to take delivery of their fully funded miners in 2022, and they're going to be pushing delivery of the unfunded miners into 2023. So are they ever going to receive the ones that they said they're going to get eventually? They're still waiting to pay. So they are currently at a total of 100 PH petahashes. This is 1/10 of an exahash. But let me know down below what you're doing with Sphere 3D. Have you sold it recently? Have you been buying? Are you extremely bullish? Are you extremely bearish? Now, as I've said, I will hold this till the end of the year, but things are definitely not looking good for it, and I would understand why people want to sell. Now, if you guys know this channel, you know that my high conviction stock in terms of Bitcoin miners is CleanSpark. And for any of you considering getting into Sphere 3D, I highly recommend you at first at least look at CleanSpark and see what you think. But that's all I got for you today, guys. Don't forget to let me know how you feel about Sphere 3D. Seems like this macro environment definitely came at the wrong time for that company. We'll see how they do in terms of acquiring any kinds of debt, in terms of diluting shareholders, and if they're actually going to eventually have to sell their Bitcoin at some point. They may have to. And are they going to remain NASDAQ compliant? There are definitely a lot of headwinds for this company and very few tailwinds right now, but I do remain optimistic that the price will be slightly higher by the end of the year. Could be wrong, and with this NASDAQ compliance looming over their heads, very possible that coming up towards January there's a lot more fear than is currently in it. But I'm willing to lose my money on this small position, and sometimes you just gotta chalk it up as a loss. But I will be giving you guys an update on Sphere 3D at some point in the future, and of course letting you know when I do in fact sell. But thanks as always guys for watching, and take it easy.